So who was Cleitarchus and what did he do?
He was the son of Danon of Colophon, who'd written a history of the Persian Empire at about the same time as Alexander the Great conquered it. He seems to have decided that he'd like to complete his father's work by writing a history of Alexander's campaigns within a few decades of Alexander's death. It became the most popular and widely read account of Alexander among the ancient Greeks and the Romans.
Why does Cleitarchus' account need to be reconstructed?
Well, as we can see from this chart over here, Cleitarchus is the most important source for most of the surviving ancient accounts of Alexander: Diodorus, Curtius, Justin and the Mesopotamy. The surviving accounts are quite long. This is, for example, is an antique version of Curtius, over 300 years old, in the original Latin. And you can see, therefore, that scholars have long suspected that we could reconstruct much of Cleitarchus from this material. The value is rather like the value of reconstructing an ancient vase that's been shattered into fragments. If you put them all together, you can see the form and the decoration of the vase much more clearly than you can by staring at the fragments.
Do we get a particularly beautiful vase by reconstructing Cleitarchus?
Cleitarchus was popular with the ancient readers because he gave a particularly colourful and sensational account of Alexander's campaigns. There are lots of rousing speeches, exciting battle scenes. He gives some details of the correspondence between Alexander and his opponents. He took a lot of pleasure in giving good descriptions of the strange cultures, the terrain, the wildlife that Alexander's expedition encountered. Above all, he gave stories about Alexander's personal life that were ignored or suppressed by other ancient writers.
Does this mean that he gave a distorted picture?
Some people have believed that his accuracy is dubious, and certainly we can see that he made some mistakes. But virtually all of the ancient sources on Alexander made some mistakes, and my research tends to show that he was no more inaccurate than any others. He based his account on the very good early eyewitness accounts of people like Onesicritus, Nearchus, possibly Aristobulus, who were Alexander's friends and officers. His sensationalism is rather like that of a tabloid newspaper. The basic facts tend to be accurate, but the interpretation of them is sometimes overblown.
What kind of picture of Alexander emerges from Cleitarchus?
Well, it's neither a eulogy nor a denunciation. He seems to have been influenced by his associations with the cynical philosophers, and he gives a kind of wry account of Alexander's campaigns. He says that Alexander's motivation is to excel the deeds of his mythical ancestors, Heracles and Achilles. So Alexander coaxes his army ever onwards across vast tracts of Asia and comes up against insurmountable or seemingly insurmountable obstacles. And this elicits great feats of courage and endurance from Alexander and his men. It's full of pothos and pathos, yearning and suffering, and Cleitarchus takes particular delight in bringing out the tragic ironies of the situation against these exotic backdrops.
Where can viewers find your reconstruction of Cleitarchus?
Well, the first part of the reconstruction, Alexander's campaigns in India, is published as Alexander the Great in India and is available through internet bookshops, or people can go to my website at www.alexanderstomb.com for more information on the subject as well.
Thank you.